Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook, and hello, podcast community. Welcome back. You're listening to Han Talks First. This is episode 94 of the show. If you're new here, welcome. We welcome everybody here. There's one prerequisite. You have to be a fan of Star Wars. But if you're not, that's okay because we might be able to convince you otherwise. We have shows every Monday and Wednesday talking about Star Wars on the show. Monday is live, so you are listening to a live broadcast. No edits, no funky cuts. No illusions. And then every Wednesday, we have the regular scheduled program where we talk about a new interesting topic in Star Wars. There's also a new show that comes out every Friday called the WandaVision Aftershow. So if you're a fan of Marvel, me and my girlfriend host a Marvel show on Fridays. And we do that every week at 12 p.m. There was a new video of that discussing episode 6 of the WandaVision. So if you like that show like we do, I would recommend checking out that show. It's pretty interesting. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. If you are new here, again, welcome. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. We have currently, I think, 693 subscribers on the channel. That's insane. Growing tremendously fast. I love it. I want to get to 700 by, let's say, the end of the day. I think we can do it. Tell your friends to go subscribe. And if you don't have time for videos, we are also available on podcast form as well. Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, Overcast, etc. Wherever you can find podcasts, we're there. So be sure to check that out. Just look up Han Talks First. Like I said, there's been a tremendous growth in the channel. We have, as of February alone, we have grown 216 new listeners. That is impressive. That is insane. That's our biggest growth in such a limited amount of time so far. So thank you guys for sharing the show and telling your friends about it, and continue to do so. We're going to have a lot of fun things coming up in season 3 of this show, and episode 100 is right around the corner. So be sure to stick around for that. I do want to shout out our Australian community, because out of those 216 people, 15% are from Australia. That is amazing. I didn't know that would happen. I guess you Aussies love your Star Wars, so that's pretty cool to hear as well. And before we continue on, because I am joined by some guests today, I want to go ahead and let you guys know about the new series that came out on video today, actually. And it is the Return of the Jedi, the Making of series. Part 1 came out today on the YouTube channel. If you want to listen to the full series, it is available on the podcast. We talk about the making of Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, and The Empire Strikes Back. And to close off the series, on Wednesday, we are actually going to be joined by a Hollywood screenwriter to talk about the making of Star Wars. His name is Cameron Pasha, and he'll be on the show tomorrow. So that's, on Wednesday. So on Wednesday morning, I will be interviewing Cameron Pasha, a Hollywood screenwriter, director, producer, and he's going to talk to us about how those Star Wars stories were made and how to craft a good story. So be sure to stick around for that as well. It was a very nice time talking to him, and I think it'll bring some value to you guys as well. So on top of that, like I said, we have some guests today, and as you can tell by the title of this video, we're talking about a controversy. It's a very controversial topic, the whole Gina Carano situation. And before we really dive into it, I want everyone to know who's listening to the show, you're probably watching the show because you're a fan of Star Wars. And you love the movies, the shows, the people involved, and I don't want to change that for you. You know, I have a Star Wars channel for one reason, so I can exploit my love for it and have a community of other Star Wars fans and just talk about it. So while we talk about this controversy, you may agree with me, you may not, but just remember, we all still love Star Wars, and you may agree with my guest opinions, you may not, but we're all here to have a conversation. It's important to understand that we're not here to change your mind if you think opposite of us. What we are going to do is we're going to present facts on the situation, and then we will share our opinions. So again, I'm not here to convince anyone of to change their beliefs, but if you want to have a conversation, we're totally down to do so. So with that being said, if you want to jump into the comments below, you can, and you can share your thoughts there. If you want to support this channel, you can, there's a tipping option. You can go to the link below, streamelements.com/hantalksfirst/tip. If you send in a tip, we will dedicate that topic of question onto an episode of the show and really talk in length about it. If you want to become a member, there's a Patreon page also linked below. Go the extra mile, support the channel, and join our team. And later in today's show, I will tell you about our sponsor and how you can get a 30-day free trial of Audible. And it's definitely worth it if you are a Star Wars fan. So without further ado, let me bring in our guest today, because they are two awesome guys, one of which has been on the show before, and the other one is brand new. So this is Marc Lawrence, and this is Jujuan. I'm sorry, Jujuan, I don't know your last name.
Gailey.
Yes. Gailey. So they're here today to talk about Star Wars and all their fun, loving memories of it. But first off, how are you guys doing today?
Great.
Doing well. Doing really well.
I'm up. I'm on my second or third cup of coffee right now.
Oh, me too. Definitely. I'm shaking because of all the coffee. How was your guys' Valentine's Day? Did you do anything special?
Yeah, a lot of special stuff. Yeah, my wife and I we had lunch and kind of just hung out, and then watched movies and just kind of cuddled up by the fire. That's pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds so lovely. You should have invited me.
Right? Oh yeah. There's always room for one more. Right?
Yeah, I was just with my family. Spreading the family love.
Yeah.
And I hope all of you that are listening had a good Valentine's Day as well. And if you are alone for that season, I hope you cuddled up and watch some Star Wars, because that always makes you feel nice. So we had Marc on the show. Was it 2 weeks ago we had you?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
And we already asked you about your Star Wars story, which is what I do with every new guest on the show. But Jujuan, haven't had you before. So I'm going to ask you what your Star Wars story is. And that can be favorite memory, how you got into it, favorite movie, whatever you like. So let me hear your Star Wars story.
Well, I can honestly say that Star Wars kicked it off for me, turned me into, I should say, a sci-fi junkie, right? It's like anything space, anything blasting, or it was just a thing for me. So I think I was young, but one of my fondest memories is I got a chance to actually see Return of the Jedi in the theater. I didn't really and I've always been pretty bright, and I've always been pretty aware. But when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, what is this? And then I found out that there were two more, and I was like, wait a minute, there's two more before this? Oh my God, I was a kid in a candy store. And then we had the whole VHS thing. And so as a matter of fact, I still have them. I have the original VHS for
so what was it like seeing Return of the Jedi first and not knowing it was the third installment?
Man, well, I was really young, of course, so I was really young, but the first time I saw it, it was like nothing I'd ever seen ever. I mean, just the fact that, because you have to think about it, at that time, movies about that specific subject weren't really as prevalent. It didn't become a thing until after Star Wars really did it. Like before that, it was more of a joke, right? So if you looked at movies back in the early 70s or late 60s, it was more of a joke, but they made it a real thing, right? They made it a real thing, like for instance, like Star Trek, or Star Trek, and that was more of a TV show type thing. And then after the fact, that's when they started making movies for their franchise, right? So I think that for me, watching that, the colors, the sounds, the atmosphere was like the most ultimate thing. It just took me to a completely different place, and I was like, wow, like I want to go back to that place. Right. And then it just kind of engages you, and you want to jump even further and further and further into the storyline. And you find out, wait a minute, there's two before this. Oh my God, now I have to see what happens. And then when I watched episode 4, I was like, wait a minute, there has to be something before this because this doesn't make sense, because it feels like it started in the middle of, it started in the middle of a sentence. So that's when I found out that there were books. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I actually, me not really being much of a reader, but that was one thing that I actually went in and read. So, I just went down the rabbit hole, and it's life changing. So I'm a geek. And,
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I wish I could have seen any of the originals in theaters, but they're probably not going to do that anytime soon, I would imagine.
Yeah,
but, I do remember I don't remember watching The Phantom Menace, but I do remember going to the theater to watch it back when I was really little. And it was such a special time. I remember going with my toys, but yeah, to see A New Hope's my favorite. And if I could see A New Hope in a theater, that would change my world. So, I'm jealous that you got to do that.
Yeah, man.
And Mark, did you have any other any other Star Wars stories to mention? You know,
Like
maybe there's
favorite moments?
ones for you. Yeah.
I mean, it was such a big part of my childhood that from the moment I knew how to use a camera, we were making our own Star Wars movies as kids. So I have like really terrible fan-made movies as a 15-year-old.
I need to see those.
They're on YouTube. They're private. Shot on a 1 megapixel camera.
Send me the link. Send me the link.
So bad, but it was so much fun.
And
you know, it just shaped my childhood. And like you said, I saw Phantom Menace as well in the theaters. I remember it so well. My mom won free tickets from her work, or actually it was like a work event, and they gave tickets for everyone to see Phantom Menace. So we watched it.
No way.
Right at the midnight showing. It was my first time watching a movie at midnight, and it was the most exciting thing. Like the first time experiencing a fully packed theater, and then even when the very last moment with Darth Maul and him going down the hall, like, and having everybody cheer, like I thought I was hooked. From then on, I was like, I need to watch every premiere for this franchise every time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Darth Maul a little bit later today. He's one of the greatest villains of all time.
Man.
And before we get into our main topics today, everybody, I wanted to share a little something that was tweeted by Marc Hamill, and it's actually going to spark a conversation we're going to have thereafter. So Marc Hamill recently made a tweet, an anecdotal tweet in remembrance of Carrie Fisher. So check this out. He said, first day of Empire in Finns, Norway. She had no scenes there, but came along just to hang out and not miss any of the fun. She always regretted going to Tunisia for Star Wars, and it was also a way to make sure she got one of her own crew snow jacket. And yes, I still have mine too. And show the picture here of them back in 1979 and shooting The Empire Strikes Back. And seeing this tweet just made me want to kind of take a few moments and talk about the lovely Carrie Fisher and how big her legacy is. And yes, go ahead, take a breath, wipe the sweat from your brow. It's gonna be okay. So before we talk about our favorite moments for Carrie Fisher, I will say that coming next week on the show, we're having a top 7 video celebrating the top 7 moments from Return of the Jedi, some of which include that of Carrie Fisher. So Mark, how about you go first? What do you love about Carrie or Princess Leia? Do you have a favorite scene from any of the movies, or just general thoughts about her?
She's such a wholesome character and a person, you know. Just Carrie Fisher by herself, not even Princess Leia. I know she was a very extroverted, very out there, outgoing person, you know, had practically no filter. She didn't care, you know, how you thought about her. She would curse all the time. And that's what I loved about her. She was just so genuine, and just that last picture you showed, like, she was like fine wine, like so gorgeous and beautiful. And yeah, I remember the moment that it was hit the news when she was gone, and I was at work and I had to shed a tear, man. It's very sad to not have her around anymore, but you know, her legacy will definitely live on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said. She's absolutely amazing. You know, one of the first real powerful women in cinema, especially science fiction. One of the first. She kind of started this whole movement for, you know, women being at the forefront of science fiction movies like Alien, Terminator, and all that kind of stuff. But I think my favorite moment of Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, was the first time she met Luke in that, you know, hangar on the Death Star. And he walks in, he's like, I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you. And she's just like, aren't you a little fat to be a stormtrooper? Or short. She said short. I'm thinking of the Family Guy thing. Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper? And that right there, that one line That one interaction tells you everything you need to know about her. You know, she's not the typical damsel in distress. She doesn't really need anybody, you know, for her. She appreciates the help, but at the same time, she was just like, are you really the one rescuing me? Because you don't look that, you know, equipped to be doing so. So, and then every time after, you know, the maturation of her character as well through the movies, the original trilogy, she went from this, you know, angsty teen and rebellious teen and kind of the forefront woman of the Rebel Alliance. And then as the movies go on, by Return of the Jedi, she becomes this loving, motherly figure to all the other characters and is kind of there for everybody, you know, is more empathetic with others. And it's just, she becomes like the mom or the sister of the whole entire group.
And a great leader.
Jujuan, do you have any thoughts?
To add to what you were saying, you know, just kind of catch the tail end of that is like, I think personally, like, that's what made that whole like her whole role so dynamic, is the fact that she did kind of turn into like the mother figure, because like if you think about it, she birthed it, right? Like she was the first one. So by the time it came to the end of the saga, you know, she felt like well, you know, like not even like a mother, more like almost like a grandmother type thing, because like there were so many generations.
Yeah,
like a matriarch, like a very powerful matriarchal role, right? But one of my favorite scenes is when I believe it's episode 5, right? So so episode 5 where Leia and Luke kiss, right? In front of Han, right?
Goodness.
But this is hindsight. This is looking back. I'm like, he kissed his sister? This is weird. Right? So, you know, but that's hindsight, you know, and it was but the first time seeing that, I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You know, Han's got some competition, right? You know what I'm saying? But you know, her doing it just to make him jealous, you know, but she just has swag, man. She just always had that energy, like she's the buffest person in the room, but she didn't have to say it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, like I just loved her energy. On screen and off screen, because I watched a few interviews, you know, with her in it and the whole nine, and like her energy it was always positive, and just always like she just always exuded like confidence, right? So
watching her in interviews is sometimes more entertaining than watching the movies.
Totally.
I mean, she's so out there, and it's so wonderful. And Mark Hamill has this great story in an interview he told, where he was telling some memory about her on stage, and then he was like, I know Carrie's looking down on me right now, flipping me off from having her. Of course, that's so Carrie Fisher. I want to welcome some people to the show who are watching live. Welcome Obi-Wan or Mr. High Ground. Welcome to the show. Welcome Marcus. Have a couple people watching on Facebook Live as well. Welcome Stormtrooper. Welcome Force Loser. Welcome Max. And everyone else. If you are watching live, please give this video a like. We have 9 likes so far. Let's get it up to, I'll say 15 is our goal for today. But thank you so much for watching. If you want to send your questions, go right ahead. You're more than welcome to join the conversation. So that was it. Just something to kind of break the ice with, was talking about the lovely Carrie Fisher, who is always amazing, even in her.
And that hairdo. That first hairdo with the buns.
Oh, the buns?
Right now.
yeah. The buns. Like, so I was, I always like to make jokes, but I was thinking, I was like, can she hear anything? Right? But it made a lot of sense, you know, being on that frozen planet. You know what I mean? Like earmuffs.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. That's why they did it. It was earmuffs. Yeah.
Love her hair.
I love her hair.
It
was iconic. Like
exactly.
Yeah, iconic. Yeah.
Well, that's another question I have for you guys. I was going to ask later, but it's a good segue. Another one of the themes of my show is to figure out why Star Wars is iconic, and the reason why it's such a good question is because there's so many answers. So I think I asked you last week, Mark, but for either of you, what is it about Star Wars you think makes it so iconic?
Ooh, can I go?
Go ahead.
Okay, so like you've heard of a trilogy, right? But have you ever heard of a trilogy? Another trilogy, and it's like a nine, right? So it's like the fact that the writing. So I know a lot of people that don't understand Star Wars. Like they don't get it. Like they just cannot get into it, right? But when you really look at the time it took to actually write the story, to actually make sure that everything made sense, and then there's sub stories, and everything is connected. It's like, wow, like there's a whole, like they created a whole universe. They created a whole nother dimension that people aspire to live in the physical, like in the real world, right? So just the whole story, starting from where starting from the middle of the sentence, right, and then going back to the beginning, and then watching the whole lineage, from father to children to mother to child, you know what I'm saying, and then children, and then secret and then secret grandchildren, right? It's like there's no reason why people wouldn't think this is the greatest thing ever, because it takes brains to actually come up with a story that epic. That's kind of like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? Like that took in creating a completely different language or whatever, whatnot. Like it's the best thing in the world. And if you don't agree, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but not like in Star Wars, ain't one.
Exactly.
Well put.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark?
What makes it iconic?
I think what you said 2 weeks ago was the familial aspect of it, but can you think of any other good examples?
It's just the story as a whole, and to kind of just piggyback off what he said, is just everything connects in a way, just like a brain, One thing that you talk about, like if you watch something like The Mandalorian on its own, it can make sense on its own, but the fact that that it connects to various other things,
it's so much more,
and it can all come back to that show. But it can also come back to the very first movie, the very last movie. It's just there's so many layers, and that's what makes it, because there's no other franchise really like that is so wholesome, as Star Wars.
And to sum that up, George Lucas has an infamous quote about that, and he says, "Star Wars is it's like poetry; it rhymes." So yeah, you're right. They're all stanzas, right? They stand alone on their own, but then if you put it together, it's one huge poem or something,
Yeah.
And that's what's so great about it.
Yeah.
If you are listening or you're watching this after the live stream, tell us what you think makes Star Wars iconic. Share your thoughts below, or shoot me an Instagram message, Twitter, anything like that. We are on social media as well. So let's go into our first segment of the show. We do this every Monday, and that is our segment called, trying to find it here, Star Wars Replay. Enjoy.
Star Wars Replay!
Star Wars Replay is where we replay major moments and events that happened this week in Star Wars history. And this week in 1978, Splinter of the Mind's Eye was published. This was the first ever expanded universe novel. In 1985, the Ewok movie Caravan of Courage was released in theaters in Venezuela. In 1997, the special edition of The Empire Strikes Back was released in theaters. In 2000, the game Star Wars Starfighter was released. And finally, in 2011, in San Francisco, a 5-foot wide fiberglass heart depicting Yoda was installed in the Union Square Park for the General Hospital Foundation fundraiser. That's it for Star Wars Replay. Tune in next Monday to find out what major moments and events happened next week in Star Wars history.
So that's what happened this week in Star Wars history. You can come back next week and find out what happened next week in Star Wars history. After I posted this video on YouTube and Instagram, I got a couple of great comments about it. One that stuck out to me was someone said something like, "What the hell? They had an Ewok movie?" And then another person commented and was like, "Yeah, they also had a show too." So Star Wars loves their Ewoks. But did either of you know about the Ewok movie?
I did. I had it on Laserdisc, and there's actually two of them. There's actually two, and I believe they did a Christmas special.
I knew about that.
Yeah. There's actually two of them. There's Caravan of Courage, and I believe there was Return to Endor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two.
Yeah. So, but I had Caravan of Courage on Laserdisc. So if no one knows what a
Wow.
Laserdisc is a giant CD. If you don't know what a CD is, I feel bad for you. But yes, it looks like a record. But yeah, I had it on Laserdisc. Yeah, man. Oh my God.
Very cool. Yeah, the I think it's Caravan of Courage is the movie that first introduced blurgs, the creatures in Mandalorian. And so again, Mandalorian just doing a great job of tying everything in together. There was a mention in the chat here that I wanted to acknowledge because Mr. Highground, you missed a great opportunity to welcome yourself to the show. You should have put hello there.
I know.
Hello there. But either way, thank you so much for coming back to the show. You're always here and you're always welcome. And I appreciate you joining us today. Okay, so that's it for Star Wars Replay. The next thing we're going to talk about is actually the wonderful legacy character of this man right here. Boom. Darth Maul. This character is absolutely amazing. It's like we were talking about earlier, iconic. There's something special about the Star Wars characters, creatures. Each one has its own silhouette where you can tell exactly who that character is by just an outline of their person. And Darth Maul is one of them. While he didn't have much to say, or honestly that much to do in The Phantom Menace, the little amount of screen time he had made such a huge impact on fans. And now he's one of the most beloved characters out there. And he also made his return in Clone Wars and in Star Wars Rebels, and just has an overall amazing story arc going on with him. And the thing we're talking about today is actually a post made by the person who played Darth Maul. He recently went on Instagram and made this post right here, posted this picture, and he made the geotag for Tatooine. And let me see here. And he also teased the idea of his possible return. So the question is, could it be for Obi-Wan? Could it be for something else? Could it be for flashback scenes in Obi-Wan Kenobi? And overall, he did not confirm that the rumors were for, Darth Maul's return. But we can only hope and wonder. And unfortunately, those were false. He posted them to tease everybody because this picture was taken from Solo, A Star Wars Story, when he was in Heron Dagger. So he kind of teased us, but it still begs the question. There's tons of rumors out there still that Darth Maul will be coming back, especially after his appearance in Solo. So I definitely think it's possible. And I know the voice actor who plays Darth Maul, Sam Witwer, definitely wants him to come back. And of course, Ray Park, the guy who plays the actual, person, wants him to come back as well. So I want to ask you guys: do you think he could come back? Would you like to see it? What are some of your favorite things about Darth Maul?
I feel like it's almost a necessity. When you think of Obi-Wan, you think of Darth Maul. At least I do. Like he's to me, he's the best, one of the best characters, one of the best villains in the whole franchise. He's the other half, in my opinion, or at least a third. When you think of Obi-Wan, you think of Anakin, but then you think of Darth Maul.
Exactly.
It's just like, man, such an iconic character. I had his Halloween mask when I was a child. I had the first toy lightsaber of his that broke so easily. I had to tape it up with some duct tape just so I could swing it around. He is one of my favorites. And Sam Witwer as well. Like his voice is iconic for him.
I remember, I don't have very vivid memories back when I was that little at the time this came out, but I do remember some of us were huddled around a TV screen, like my family or cousins or something. And when in the trailer it's revealed that he has a double-ended lightsaber, everyone like freaked out in the room. And it was like going crazy. It's just such simple things that just make not only his character but all of Star Wars so amazing. And would you guys like to see him come back? I could definitely see him coming back in Obi-Wan, like a flashback.
Totally.
I mean,
totally.
I would definitely like to see him come back. I mean, I remember the first time seeing Darth Maul, and I was like, "Yo, like that dude's a gangster, like he's a straight thug, right?" But and then he dies. But I'm like, I don't think he's gone. right? So immediately having the feeling like he's gonna come back, like watching him fall down that hole, I'm like, he's gonna come back. I know he's gonna come back, right? And then recently, right, I'm a little late to the game, but I watched the Clone Wars, and then I actually ended up watching Rebels, and courtesy of my man here, he told me to watch it because there was a lot of parts that I was missing because I was watching the Mandalorian. I was like, what? This wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. There's got to be more to it. And like I said, I had read 7, 8, and 9, and I'm like, wait a minute, like there's something missing. So I had to go back and watch that. But to watch his journey, right, and how he was done, and then how he was seeking out finding his own Padawan, or trying to trick someone into being their being his Padawan, whatever, whatnot. But this scene right here, it was good, but I was kind of like, I really expected him to put up more of a fight, but Obi-Wan, like he already, what I'm saying, he already knew what he was gonna do. So
yeah, I mean that's the
took him out.
The poetic.
For the audio listeners, on the screen is a representation of Maul versus Obi-Wan in the Rebels fight. So that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I thought they could see that. I'm sorry. I'm new. I'm sorry. But yeah. And then kind of like looking at the whole scenario. Like I didn't realize that until I watched Clone Wars, until I watched Rebels, that they actually had forms. I'm like, oh, this is a lot like martial arts, because I'm a big martial artist myself. I was like, oh, like this is like it's really dope. So I mean, here I am like later, after watching episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right, and then watching the Mandalorian, and watching Solo, and watching a new what do you call it, sorry, the in-betweens, I'm sorry, but too much coffee, I'm jittery right now. But
me too.
But yeah, and then there's still so much of the story that you don't see. But Darth Maul was always in the background doing something, right? But unless you've seen Clone Wars or Rebels, you would never know that. So there's a lot of people that, if you haven't seen those, I definitely encourage you to go ahead and watch that, because it'll bring light, and you'll understand why we're speaking highly of Darth Maul. So that's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
So are you still not a fan of that final showdown between him and Obi-Wan, or was it just at the time?
No, I mean, I'm still not a fan. Like I thought a bit more. Well, I know Darth Maul was, he was in his feelings at the time. He was in his emotions. And sometimes your emotions can blind you. Which is the difference between the dark side and Jedi's. They're a little bit more focused. But like I thought it was gonna be a little bit more of a fight. I was expecting to see some flipping and some throwing and some But it was
that's
just
the thing. That's the reason why it was so
Yeah.
short, because it actually shows like the beauty of the story
exactly.
between these two characters. Like already, you can already see the development of Obi-Wan, and the fact that Darth Maul is pretty much the same as he was almost as in episode 1, just fueled by rage. His thing is he just always wanted to one up Obi-Wan. He always wanted to basically kill him.
Yeah, of course.
But the fact that he kind of was flawed in a way where he's just stuck in one position, and then Obi-Wan had actually evolved, and it shows that with just that 10-second scene, almost, I don't know if it was shorter or longer.
It's like
1, 2,
quick.
like,
1-2 punch.
Yeah,
Done.
Darth Maul thought he can get him with his traditional ways.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan already knew what he was all about. It's like a game of chess.
Well, to kind of digress, right? So, like I said, like I do have mixed emotions about it. Like I was mad that the scene was so short, but I do understand the premise. I do understand that this is like that's not something that Obi-Wan wanted to do. He did not want to fight. He did not want to kill Darth Maul, but that just it was beautiful because it showed wisdom, and it showed a senseless rage, right? And he chose not to grow, and that brought him to his demise, right? But I was just like, because but you couldn't fight. No, just you could have did a little something, but
and a couple of flips.
A
I'll
couple
give you
flips.
that.
Just get to the splits, come out on fire. You know what I'm saying, and then that's it. Yeah.
that scene is my second favorite moment of Rebels. My first is the series finale, but that fight is my absolute favorite. I totally understand you wanting more out of them because those are two legends going head to head. But what I love about it is Obi-Wan and Darth Maul are essentially the same exact character as far as their journeys go. They're brothers. They've been through so much together, even though they haven't been together, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And Darth Maul blames Obi-Wan for all of his failures.
Yeah.
He blames Obi-Wan for everything. If he had like an argument with his mom, he blames it on Obi-Wan. He blames everything on.
It's all
And-
Obi-Wan's fault.
Right?
You did this to me.
He's Anakin.
Yeah.
Right?
And
It's like,
what's amazing is he spends the next 15-ish years just doing nothing but just trying to find him and destroy him. That's his ultimate goal. And Obi-Wan, he did know he was alive at one point, but he didn't, make it a point to go after him. But he is in a similar situation where he's forced to be on Tatooine in exile, similar to how Maul was exiled from the Sith world. And so they're both outcasts. But the one thing that is their yin and yang is Obi-Wan is spending all of his time studying and learning patience. And that episode just shows so much about Obi-Wan character without having to say a single word or seeing him in so long, because he comes on screen, doesn't say anything, doesn't even say hello there, and he's just like, oh my god, I know this guy has been doing nothing but practice and being one with the Force, and just doing everything that Maul should have done the opposite way. And then when they go head to head, Maul, still like upset about that fight he lost long ago, he goes in with the same exact move that he did in Phantom Menace, and Obi-Wan caught that, and he decided to counter it because that was the move Maul made to Qui-Gon to kill him.
Yeah.
And it's just that rage.
My favorite thing in that scene is when Obi-Wan changes his stance.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning with the two and the fingers pointing, that's Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan. And the fact and then he changes his stance, you already know something's about to go down.
It's like I know you. I know you, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, ultimately, the reason why that's ultimately for me, the reason why that scene was like very impactful for me is because Darth Maul ended up getting his ultimate release, which is the death that he actually wanted, but I believe the scene was more about Obi-Wan than it was Darth Maul, but I'm like, but Darth Maul's the one that died, so we should be mourning this guy because we don't have one of our favorite villains anymore. But ultimately, I think the scene was more about Obi-Wan's journey than it was Darth Maul's in that particular moment. So
right,
it was kind of like, to me, it's kind of like he's dead, and okay, now it's about me again. So that's why I was like, well, I mean, the villain's been around forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, give him an epic death. You know what I'm saying? Like, give him something. Go out. Get chopped in half again, but sometime, this time this way or something, right?
I mean, his death to me was very Shakespearean.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when Obi-Wan's holding him at the end. Yeah, and it shows that they hated each other so much they actually loved each other in a little bit. Yeah, which is like,
do this.
Right. So such a beautiful story.
Yeah, very beautiful.
But yeah, I hope we see more Darth Maul in the future, and I don't care if it's like a prequel thing. Such a cool character, so amazing. I
want to see an origin film.
Yeah,
I want to see baby Darth.
Yeah,
that's the next baby Groot, baby Yoda, baby Darth. Bring it on.
I mean, what I think will be cool is to go back to like the origins of all of that, because me personally, I want to know where deeper, but I want to see it played out, the actual lineage of the Sith and the Sith Lords, right? Because they've showed one side of it, right? Which is, which is, Luke and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and everyone, but they don't really they didn't really tell the other side. It's like, what did they go through? Like how did they plot and plan this? You know, in the background, without anybody saying who were the integral parts, who was manipulated into doing what, and how was it, to make that first plan,
Right.
come to fruition. So I think there should be a Sith movie. That would be dope.
Yeah,
I think that's what a
really
lot of
touched the
fans
purpose.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with that new show coming out, Acolyte, it's supposedly supposed to be centered around the Sith, and hopefully we'll get some more of that story, which I would love as well. Just get their point of view. There's so much stuff in the books, but like, let's get it on screen. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And First Galactic Podcast agrees in the chat. True, we need a full Sith movie /show.
Ooh, yeah, that would be dope.
It's gonna come. I can
Pure
feel
carnage.
Yeah, I think it's all in the works, man.
Yeah,
It's all in the works. Like,
Yeah.
it takes, I mean, most people don't realize you can't just really make a film like overnight. It's like so much planning you got to do. And it takes a lot of work just to get one little story, one little chapter out of a whole book.
Yeah. And the writing has to be correct because a lot of us are serious about this. We live this life.
Which is why I'm so excited for Obi-Wan, because they've been spending so much time on this.
Yeah.
And they spent 4 years writing the script before they even announced it. And it's like that's what they failed to do in the past. They're like, we're gonna do a new trilogy. Who's the director? Don't know yet. It's like,
what do you mean you don't know?
Who's playing who?
Right?
I don't know.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But
Michael Bay jumps in and Transformers are jumping out. Wrong set.
Right.
Wrong set.
I think the future is great. I think the future is bright and long for Star Wars. And
Yeah, we've only just begun.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, this is gonna be truthfully, I think it'll be 2040 or 2050, and there'll be another story coming out. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like everything will probably fully immersed, and you'll be in like some kind of 3D 3D hologram or something like that, and you're actually living the movie, by that time. But yeah,
right.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
With all good things, there does come some controversy sometimes, which is a nice segue into our final and main topic today. The reason why probably most of you are here. So sorry for the delay. We love talking Star Wars. I want to ask before we get into it, how much do you guys have like a set time that you have to dip out, or are you good?
We got to get about another good 20 minutes.
Yeah. We can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll try and get through this really quick. So let me start off by, let me find the picture here. Here we go. So we are going to be talking about Gina Carano, obviously, the whole Gina Carano controversy. In the wake of this controversial social media post she's been making and some comments she's been doing, Lucasfilm has released a statement. They released it on Wednesday night, and this is what the spokesperson said. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people who, based on cultural and religious identities, are abhorrent and unacceptable. Okay, so that comes from a Lucasfilm representative. Now, it wasn't just Disney that fired Gina Carano. Her agency, her talent agency, UTA, also fired her from their clientele. Now, we're going to mention all the different controversies today and, why it's such a big deal. I'm going to present you the facts, of course, and then we will get into, some of our own thoughts on the whole matter. So, first of all, let's start off with the one that happened early last year in 2020. So, this whole thing started with her tweeting about conspiracy theories about the pandemic that happened last year and, ruined a bunch of people's lives and stuff like that. It all started with her saying it was a hoax and also, making fun of people wearing masks. This was one example of that. I think this is kind of funny. I mean, it's kind of cute, but but with context of the other things she was saying about it, like don't believe what people are saying, go outside, that kind of stuff. Anyway, that was one of the things she posted. The next thing she posted about was, of course, the whole voting issue in America with claims of voter fraud, and she did put out this tweet with several others. We need to catch up and clean the election process. We're not feeling the way we do today. Put laws in place that protect us against voter fraud. Investigate every state. film the counting, flush out fake votes, require ID, etc. And this doesn't seem that harmful either. And we'll get into why some of these might have been posed as an issue. The third controversy was her making some transphobic comments about pronouns and things like that. So this is something she put on her Twitter bio, in the firestorm of people who were pressuring her to use trans-friendly pronouns in her bio. She instead put boop, bop, and beep. And a quote from her here says, "I am not against trans lives at all. They need to find less abusive representation." Now, this has since been deleted. And after soaring in uproar online, she clarified that it was zero to do with mocking trans people, but it was more about exposing the bully mentality and the mob that has taken over the voices of many genuine causes. So the issue with that, of course, was she felt, a little pressurized by the people to put pronouns in her bio, and that's something she just did not want to do. The final controversy, the most recent one, was her comparing our current divide of the political climate in the United States to Nazi Germany. And this was the post she made, and it says here, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is it different than from hating someone for their political views? And of course, that was the final nail in the coffin that made Disney finally say, okay, we are, cutting you from our payroll and not going to have anything else to do with you. Now, I think what's really important about all of this is to understand that, there's an issue of people saying freedom of speech is being violated. There's people who have unsubscribed to Disney Plus now. It's causing much controversy. There's two sides of this. Sorry guys, my camera is going in and out here. And it's something we had to talk about because I got a lot of people asking me, if I was going to share my thoughts and requesting a video on it. So I'm here today to tell you that, it is, unfortunate for those people that like the character Cara Dune to be let go. I know some people who really like that character, and in that respect, it's unfortunate that she won't be continuing on in the story. People are worried about how they're going to write her out of the show. This was a very popular photo that was released. It says Cara Dune crashed her X-wing and died. Kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. It is a little humorous. So you got to find the humor in some things. But
wow.
So we're going to talk about it today. If you have any of your thoughts in the comments, please leave them below. I will say that I do agree some of the things she posted about was a little insensitive, and she definitely needs a social media manager, someone to, pre-approve things before she posts them, I believe. And I had a conversation with someone yesterday who actually knows Gina Carano. And they said that, while they're more on the side of Disney shouldn't have fired her, they do wish that she had reached out to someone and so they could stop her before posting some things, because the big one, the whole Jewish comment she made, she made a comment about Jews while she's working for Disney. And of course, I'm not a fan of the transphobic, comments and things like that. It's okay to not be familiar with pronouns and how important that is. I myself wasn't that familiar or didn't understand it as much as I should have. And I asked questions, and my girlfriend actually informed me and helped me realize how important it is. And Pedro Pascal did that for Cara Dune at one point as well. Showed her how important pronouns are. And she, of course, did retract some of the things she said. But it's still important like that. And of course, there's tons of other stuff we'll get into later. I just want to go ahead and bring back in the two guys here, Marc and Jujuan. I know you guys might be hearing some of this for the first time. What do you think about all this, and just the fact that she was fired from Disney in general?
Yeah, I wasn't really aware of her first post, like the first two words you were mentioning. I did know about the recent one that she had posted. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. But she basically striked herself out. Like, the fact that they gave her so many chances already. I mean, yeah, there, freedom of speech and everything like that too. But you're absolutely you're right with a lot of these celebrities do need to have some type of management going on with whatever they post because you're in the public eye now, and with the cancel culture being so prevalent, like the slightest thing you say or even post can ruin your whole career. And yeah, I was a huge fan of this character. I liked her a lot, but yeah, it's sad to see her go, and I wonder what's going to happen. Not just with her, but with just cartoon in general. Like, are they going to recast her? Are they going to use someone else? But I mean, it's very unfortunate news.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't agree with what she did though.
there was something you said that was really important that I forgot to mention. This all started back in, I think April or May of last year that, these controversial things started coming to the light. And you mentioned something how that she was given chances. And a lot of people don't realize that she was given chances. It wasn't just like, okay, you're fired. Or your beliefs don't align with ours. Disney actually reached out to UTA, her agency, every time a controversial thing came on her Twitter feed. And they were like, hey, this doesn't, let's try not to, talk about this way. It's still, you could still have your beliefs and stuff. But they did try to influence her to like tone it down a little bit because she was getting a little aggressive at some points. And so they asked her to do that after the whole mask, or the pandemic is a fraud thing. They did it after the transphobic comments, the voter fraud. And after that, they were like, one more time, you obviously don't want to work with us, so we're going to let you go. And I believe she didn't want to work for Disney, because why else would you do this? You're working for the biggest entertainment conglomerate in the world. And there's this saying called "Don't mess with the golden goose, because you won't get the golden egg." I think she got on Mandalorian, had a good time, but then I don't believe she wanted to work there anymore, because she wouldn't have done the things she did, especially after given so many chances. So it wasn't a hasty decision like a lot of people are pointing out. I just wanted to mention that since you brought that up as well. Jujuan, what do you think?
I have a lot to say, but I'm going to try to tone it down a little bit because like this whole thing makes me a little angry for the simple fact that, like, well, I come from a different time, right? And in my lifetime, I watched a lot of things happen, a lot of freedoms, right? That we should have, kind of one by one by one by one by one being stripped away. Freedom of speech has always been one of the biggest things. So for me, and especially, some of the things, well, especially the last post, I didn't see anything necessarily wrong with that, because she's exactly right. Like, history has been edited. Me being African American in general, like the history in America and the history of the world being edited all the time, right? So now and when someone is speaking the truth and they don't want you to hear the truth, the first thing they do is shut you up, right? So all I see, and also on another note, I believe that people should be allowed to be people. Like, you should be smart enough to know that they're an actor or actress, right? So, but it does not mean that they're that character when they're not on the screen. So if they're not on the screen, they should have a right to say and do whatever it is that they feel, because they are an individual. And us as the fans and as the people should have enough sense and enough fortitude to respect that, right? So people, so people getting canceled because they said something that offended someone. People get offended all the time. People, and I mean, especially now, there's certain words you can't say now, and like, it was brought to my attention, and I'm like, for real? You can't say that word anymore because people's feelings are getting hurt? Or for instance, like cyberbullying. I'm like, cyberbullying. I mean, okay, people are on your page or whatnot, and they keep talking about you and blah, blah, blah. But to me, bullying, like, you go to school, somebody physically beats you up, takes your lunch money, and does that every single day. To me, that's bullying. If you can't have a conversation, or if you can't allow or if you can't have somebody say something about you without you getting so so wrapped up in your own feelings, right? That you want to hurt yourself or hurt people. They're just words, right? You like we have them too, and even the people who have, even the people who have been bullied or people or whatever, whatnot, they've still been able to, like, they still, like, even amongst their own groups, like they may have been the the um the the culprit of bullying somebody at one time and didn't even really realize it. They may have said something that may have offended somebody and didn't even really realize it because everybody's so sensitive. Like, why is everybody so sensitive right now? I guess that's the reason why I'm so amped up right now, is because everybody is so sensitive and there's really no reason to be that sensitive. What we need to do is, if somebody's bringing up an issue, maybe we need to take a look at the issue and not at the person that's bringing the issue up. Let's look at the actual issue, not what the person said about the issue. Right? I think that's the first thing we need to do. So firing, like, or canceling someone because they have an opinion, right, doesn't really make any sense to me, because everybody, just because you work for a company doesn't mean they should own your life. I guess, right. I guess that's what I like to say.
I think that was well said. Another thing I saw in one of the comments here was, Pedro Pascal did relatively the same thing. He made some Nazi comparisons on his Twitter at one point as well. The difference there is Disney did also, have a conversation with him, and he retracted those comments and hasn't said anything close to that area yet. We are getting some comments here in the chat in addition to some questions. So first of all, hello, MJ. He said hello there. I guess is recovering for Mr. Hydra. First Galactic says, have they already filmed part of next season already? Would be interesting to see if it will delay things for more for needing reshoots. So they haven't started shooting season 3. So that's one of the benefits for them. They don't have to retract anything. Shooting does start in April for season 3. So I guess the real question there is, how are they going to address Cara Dune not being in The Mandalorian anymore? Do they bring it up? Do they ignore it? Do they come up with, like, maybe she's off world or something like that?
She crashed her X-Wing and died.
I hope they don't go that route.
That's it. That's all.
And I can't find the photo anymore. Oh yeah,
I mean, they would have to recast
crawl,
because there's no way to, they would have.
Oh, you think they'll recast?
I think so, personally. Like, well, because she's obvious. Well, she's not like, well, she is an integral part. That's what I'm saying. Like, she's an integral part of this, of the watch. She's a cog, right? So, I mean, I think personally, like, they're going to have to recast because that role is going to pop up again. Like, it has to, unless somebody did some really quick edits, and hopefully, if they did those really quick edits, that it still follows the storyline and nobody gets ticked off.
I personally wouldn't mind if they recasted. I mean, Cara Dune as a character, played a really good role in The Mandalorian, and I think the adventures that Mando will still have in the series can really integrate with Cara Dune's character. So I would hate to. Or I'd be sad to see her not appear anymore, regardless if it's Gina Carano or not. Well, obviously, it's not going to be Gina Carano, but I wouldn't be mad if it was a recasted.
Well, here's the thing: Disney could rehire her. The whole James Gunn situation over a year ago.
Yes.
They fired him.
Yes.
He showed he was, I'll be in my place. I realized what I did was wrong.
You showed remorse. Yeah.
And they hired him back for Guardians 3. So, I mean, it is a possibility that, Disney, because they obviously want her in the show.
Yeah.
Because they gave her so many chances. But what you were saying actually leads into another comment we have here. MJ the Youngling asks, what do you guys think would have happened to Cara Dune's character if the Gina Carano situation did not occur? So that's a great question. She was just coming back at the end of season 2. So where did you guys think she was going to go? I personally thought she was going to be the lead of that Rangers of the New Republic show. I thought that was going to be her show, and she was going to kind of step away from Mandalorian and, be the front woman for that, which is another interesting topic of discussion because it was rumored that show name was changed from Cara Dune and the Rangers to Rangers of the New Republic.
Oh, so do you think Do you? Well, if the name was changed, do you think that they already foreseen this coming?
100%. I think this decision
Yeah.
was made weeks
Before,
ago.
Yeah.
and we're just not hearing about it.
Totally. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
before anything comes public, it's always been sit on, for a while.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like the James Gunn situation.
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
it was announced he came back, they then said that Guardians 3 was in pre-production. It takes months for a film to go in pre-production. You need
Yeah.
6 months of development at least. So
Yeah.
Sometimes a couple years, depending.
And also
on,
with
depending on
Guardians,
budget,
people were trying to cancel Chris Pratt as well, just for
oh yeah, that's
his-
right.
he's on the right side, and he's just kind of just being himself, his public opinion as well. But people are just trying to get on him just because he's a Republican.
yeah.
And here's the
Yeah.
thing about this situation, whenever you work for any company, any industry, everyone has their own rules or regulations. If you're a cheerleader for a football team, you're not allowed to follow other football players or have them follow you. And if you do, you get fired. Like, it's ridiculous stuff like that. I worked for a place where I wasn't allowed to wear anything other than black dress pants. And it's not like an office job. It was a stupid movie theater working as like a busboy or something. And my other people's places, you can't color your hair, just different things like that. And Disney's is obviously one of which things like this, don't be so aggressive on social media and stuff like that. So, I mean, in some ways, it's kind of understandable Disney did this because they have done this in the past as well. There was another thing about this that kind of drives this story even farther. Senator Ted Cruz even went on Twitter and made some comments about it. And less than 24 hours after this explosive news came out that Gina Carano was fired, let me see if I can find it. She hit back her detractors and revealed that she's making a new movie project with the conservative website The Daily Wire. She says this: "The Daily Wire is helping make one of my dreams to develop and produce my own film come true. I cried out and my prayer was answered. I am sending out a direct message of hope to anyone living in fear of cancellation by totalitarian mob. I have only just begun using my voice, which is now freer than ever before, and hope it inspires others to do the same. They can't cancel us if we don't let them win." And the rest of the post says details are kept under wrap. And this furthers the point that this decision was made so long ago, because you can't just immediately make a movie deal in less than 12 hours as this one happened. So she's known this for a while. Disney's known this for a while. And this is not a Hollywood production. But the Wall Street Journal has confirmed that Gina Carano is blacklisted from Hollywood. So she won't be making another Hollywood movie again unless she's taken off that blacklist, which is something I found out yesterday, which kind of blew my mind for this whole thing. You mess with Disney, you mess with all of Hollywood, apparently.
No, you mess with. Well, I mean, like I have some history in the industry, and like you mess with anyone, like this, it's a lot. Like it's a lot deeper than people actually think it is. Like there are people that make one phone call to maybe one person, and it's a telephone, and everybody knows about it, and you are literally canceled. Like canceled. Like there's. Like they see your name written on anything.
Kevin Spacey canceled.
Yeah, man. It's like it's crazy, and it's been going on for since the birth of Hollywood. So, I mean,
the first blacklist was in 1950.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, that we know of.
That we know of.
That we know of.
It's
But
gonna.
you can bounce back from it. Look at Mel Gibson. He was blacklisted and kicked out for good, but somehow managed to tie up loose ends with everybody and come back and made tons of money again.
It's going to take a while for her to I mean, it's going to take a lot for her to come back, and she's got to swallow her tongue and do a public apology. But if her opinions are that strong, and she's going to be, stubborn about it, she won't. I don't think it'll be hard for her to come back, but it's a definite possibility. You have to bite your tongue.
Gina, stay right where you at. If you watching this, stay right where you at. You doing the right thing. I got your back, like spinal cords. You know what I mean? Yeah, don't let nobody punk you. I don't care how much money they have. Don't let nobody punk you, because you could still do it. Because there's us being music producers and independent artists, right? Like we live in a day and age now where you really don't need these outlets, to be honest, because you can do it yourself. You really can't do it yourself, and the fans will speak regardless of Hollywood, right? The fans will speak regardless of the music industry or whatever, right? If somebody really wants to see you, you can say, hey, I'll be in this park at this time, and thousands of people, millions of people will show up.
Exactly.
And there's nothing that Hollywood or the music industry or whatever big industry can do about it.
Yeah, and she'll always have her fans that really appreciate her. There was one more thing about this story that happened. Again, this happened over the weekend, and this one is actually related to Hasbro. So Hasbro has canceled her action figures production. A run of the Gina Carano's Cara Dune figure was available for pre-order prior to the news of her firing. And now Hasbro has made the decision to cancel all pre-orders and immediately halt production of the Star Wars action figure. On one of the pre-orders, one person who pre-ordered got an email from a company that was sending it out, and it says here, we have been informed by Hasbro that they have canceled production of the Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Cara Dune and will not be fulfilling your order. Unfortunately, this means we must cancel our pre-orders for this item. We apologize for the inconvenience and greatly appreciate your understanding. Wow. Now, Hasbro themselves has not released an official word, but this is big news, not just because of the Gina Carano situation, but for Star Wars toys as a whole. During the pandemic, Hasbro said the reason they survived the pandemic is because of the Mandalorian action figures. Yep. They sold like crazy. And if they didn't get those figures, they would have filed Chapter 11, or they would have been in some deep trouble. But Mandalorian saved them. So it's interesting now that they have to cancel one of their, popular action figures as a part of that. I saw this and I was kind of blown away. Do you guys have anything to say on this?
I mean, merchandise ties in with the actual franchise. With if the show, if her character is going to be, done for, then I don't see why not they would stop making the toys. But
you're right. Star Wars and toys are synonymous.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things people need to understand is that merchandising is probably like one of the biggest cash crops, for the simple fact that even though a movie could gross like $1 billion, the toys will gross like 2 or 3, right? Like over his lifetime, because you're looking at a few weekends in a box office, right? But then you have these action figures, right? Or any other merchandise, t-shirts, hats, wallets, whatever it is, like over the course of 10, 15, 20 years, like you're talking trillions and trillions of dollars being made from the actual merchandising. I equated to, like when I found this out, like for instance, this is like an old 80s group, New Kids on the Block. Who doesn't know who New Kids on the Block is, right? Like they made so much money with their album sales and all this stuff, but in their merchandising in the 80s, they did $396 million just in merchandising alone. Like that's incredible. Like that's insane. So looking at YouTubers or whatnot, like the merchandising is where it's at.
My guess is the fact that they're stopping this character, stopping production of the toy would save them money, basically.
And Gina Carano has been talking about this a lot on social media and basically saying that the fans are turning against her. And I'm sorry, but I got to make this joke.
You have done that yourself.
Oh man. Oh, that's hilarious.
Hey, it's true.
It's true. But you know what? On the other hand, if they did keep it, I think that a lot of people would buy it because she's not. And
yeah, definitely.
Because you know what I'm saying? So
although last time I was at Target, all the Star Wars toys were sold out except for her character, which I thought was
Oh,
kind
really?
of sad. Yeah, because I was like, any of the Mandalorian merchandise was completely gone. This was during the holiday season, and I saw a whole rack full of Cara Dunes. So,
Well, you know, that's like the
Yeah.
conversation. That's kind of a different like topic as far as like the sexism in Star Wars, and we talked about that 2 weeks ago, Mark. You know,
yeah,
when Last Jedi came out, those toys sold well not as well as Force Awakens, but the ones that were left on the shelf was Rose Tico's and you know Ray and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of sad that we have so many different issues in this franchise and we can't just enjoy it. We had like a couple months of Mandalorian where it was just great content and great discourse, and now it's like it's over, and now we got to find a way to, like, you know, make a problem somewhere. We are going to take a quick 1-minute break, hear from our sponsor, and then we'll be back to close out the show for you guys. So here is a word from our sponsor of today.
Thank you so much for watching. Today's video is sponsored by Audible. Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service that allows users to purchase and stream audiobooks and other forms of spoken word content. And because you listen to my show, I'm going to give you a 30-day free trial to Audible. Just go to the link in the description below, www.audibletrial.com/HanTalksFirst. My resolution this year is to read more books. They make you smarter, but they can also bring you closer to the things you love, like Star Wars. Now, if you're like me and you try to get your hands on every single Star Wars book you can possibly find, then you probably have the same problem I do: shelf space. But it's not just about that. Audible is the leading creator and provider of premium audio storytelling, enriching the lives of millions of listeners every day. Audible has everything you need: audiobooks, Audible originals, podcasts, and more. Thousands of titles. And you can listen anywhere, anytime, on your phone, on your computer, in your car, and they're always launching new content. And it's less than $10 a month with the Audible Plus plan. But like I said, you can get 30 days for free with the link in the description below, www.audibletrial.com/HanTalksFirst. It's time to start listening, my friends. Link below. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Audible. You guys should definitely check out the link. You can check out some Star Wars books for at least a month for free, so go check that out.
yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for being here today. I know you got to get going. We kind of had you over time, but any last minute thoughts you want about Star Wars as a whole, or Gina Carano, or anything? And go ahead and plug yourselves, your YouTube channel, the
Yes.
music channel, and individual stuff you guys got going on. Go ahead.
Yes.
Well, first of all, we just want to thank you again for having us on. You know, this is already my third time on the show. Jujuan's first, and I love and I appreciate, you know, you as a brand. You know, just getting a community together just to talk about Star Wars. You know, and it's always nice to have an outlet to talk about the things you love.
Yeah,
and even the little things and the good things and the bad things, you know.
Right.
There's always something we can talk about. And I just want to thank you again, bro. Thank you again, Cage, for having us on. We love you, and we hope to see you again on the show.
Yeah.
And
I would like to say I'm proud of you, bro. I'm very proud.
Totally.
Very proud. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
You've been working hard, and we worked together on a couple of other occasions, and just to see this alone and to see you growing a community, you know what I'm saying, you know, especially, you know, on some stuff that we all can vibe out on, you know, it's really, really cool. Yeah. But definitely proud of you. And so
you can, we're, like you said earlier, we're music producers from Southern California. We have our own music YouTube channel as well.
They do this
Music.
great series called Music Producers React. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's the right title?
Yeah, that's just one of the first
of
strains of content that we're going to be putting out. We're going to be doing a lot of tutorial stuff and everything music related within the channel. It just started out. We're still growing. But please help us with checking it out, liking and subscribing if you can.
Talking about the business, talking about things to look out for, talking about how to monetize, you know, marketing, the whole nine. So definitely.
If you're a music creator, it would probably be a really fun channel to check out.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of good content and a lot of informative content.
Or if you just like to laugh, come check us out.
Yeah, we're funny.
we're kind of comical. Yeah.
But yeah, you can follow me on Mark Lawrence Music on Instagram.
Yeah.
And
You can follow me at Dirty Work. That's at DRTY_WRK on Instagram. I'm new to Instagram, so like, if you DM me and I don't get back to you, don't be mad because I'm figuring it out. So I'm still figuring it out. Yeah. Definitely not as young as I look. But I also will be having. I'm actually building content right now for my own channel. It's Dirty Work TV, which will be coming early next month. So so look out for it. We will be in your face and in your ears.
I love it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming too. I love getting your thoughts and opinions, and for Jujuan's first time on the show.
Yay.
Mark's third, I think. Yeah.
yeah,
This was fun. Thank you.
and not the last.
I will leave their links in the description below. They're not there right now, but I have to go plug them in there real quick, and you can check them out very easily. So again, thank you for everyone else who has watched on Facebook and on the YouTube and on the podcast form as well. Again, new Star Wars episodes every Monday and Wednesday. Monday's the live show. Wednesday is a regular scheduled program. And then on Fridays, we have the WandaVision after show. Just a friendly reminder that, again, this Wednesday, 2 days from now, I'm interviewing Cameron Pasha, a Hollywood screenwriter, director, producer, and novelist. He will be talking about Star Wars and how to write a good script. So please come by on Wednesday to check out that episode. We had a great conversation. And that's it for today. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe if you're new, and tell your friends. And now somehow, some way, somewhere this week, my friends, may the Force be with you.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.